All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's new feature webinar. Thank you all for joining me today. My name is Ashley, and I'm a customer experience manager here at monday.com. I'm excited to share some of our new features and improvements with all of you today. Can you guys hear me okay? If so, can you just send a little smiley face in the chat just to make sure that. All right, cool. Wow, seeing a lot of smiley faces. Awesome. Sounds like you guys can hear me well. Awesome. So to start, I'd love to get a better feel for the different industries that you guys all work in. So can you guys just let me know what industry that you work in? Construction, automotive, whoa. Marketing, construction, retail, nonprofit, cybersecurity. Wow, we have a ton of cool industries that y'all work in. That is great. So as y'all know, today we'll be exploring a journey through some of our new features and improvements on the platform, which I hope you'll be able to implement into your own workflow to take them to the next level. Pottery supply, wow, that's cool. All right. So what's on the agenda? We are going to go over some board improvements for easier task management. We are specifically going to talk about the Gantt and Kanban views. We are going to go over some new automation improvements, specifically with our custom recipes. We're also going to talk about some import data improvements with Zendesk and Excel. We'll also talk about some dashboard improvements, specifically the table and the number widget. And then my personal favorite is some of our new CRM features, which are some apps that we built. They're called the Communa Hub, Item Card, and Billet. So before we get started, let's cover some quick housekeeping. If you have any questions, please type those questions in the Q&A section and we'll get through as many of those as possible in the second part of the demo. If I don't get to your question, you can always add them to our community form at community.monday.com. We also have a Ty here with us on the webinar from our CX team as well, and he'll be answering your questions in the Q&A box as the demo progresses as well. Audio will be through your computer speakers. If you can't or see the screen at any point on the webinar, please let us know in the chat box. And then you'll also receive a recording of this webinar automatically in the upcoming days. So let's talk about some of our support and resources. We have a great knowledge base for articles about features and best practice guides. You can find that at support.monday.com. You can also email us. We are available 24/7. We have a great community forum where you can speak with other monday.com users and champions. To get there, you can go to the community.monday.com. And then lastly, we have the webinars hub, which is monday.com/webinars, where you can view either live or on-demand webinars. All right, so before we begin, what even is monday.com, right? Why are we all here? Monday.com is a work operating system, or a work OS, a flexible platform to manage all of your workflows in one place and make your work processes easier, smoother, and more effective. So what does that mean for you and your team? You have a platform built to empower your team and company to work better, communicate easier, and make progress together. So with that said, let's dive in and check out our new features. So let's head over to my monday.com account. All right, so here we are. Here's my account. So the use case that we're going to be using for today is a structural engineering consulting firm. So I'm a senior engineer who designs bridges, and I need a way to manage tasks and projects for all the bridges that we're managing. We have over 17 bridges that we're currently working on, which means we have a lot on our plate. So for this, I've created a high-level board called the Bridge Projects Overview. On this board, you'll find a high-level overview of the projects we're managing. We're using some of our most important column types. As you can see here, we're using the status column, which gives us a way to see where each project stands. We have the due date column to help manage when each of our projects are due, and also the timeline column, which gives us a visual representation of how long each project will run for. So now that we've already gone over the status, date, and timeline column, let's take a look at the other columns that are on this board. I'm just going to quickly go over here. All right, so for those that don't recognize it, this is the Connect Boards column, which is right here, Golden Gate Bridge. This allows us to connect two boards together. So it allows us to connect to relevant items in the board we're using to manage for each single project listed in this high-level board. This is a super helpful column to be able to see data from a second board without having to switch boards. The mirror column, which is right here, the project overview, complements this by allowing me to choose certain columns in the connected board to show in this board. So as you can see, I'm also using the mirror and the connect board column to connect to the tasks that are in my Golden Gate Bridge board, and the mirror column to see an overview of all the tasks that are in my low-level board. I can even update the column from this board without the hassle of doing double work. So for example, if I want to click into one of these items, I can change the column type, waiting for approval, for example. And then this will also change in my low-level board right here that it's connected to. All right, so that said, I'd love to have a way to be able to see all the tasks from my connect and mirror columns on my Gantt chart. So I'm able to see a better representation of where we're at with our project. So for those who don't know about the Gantt chart, let me explain this amazing feature. We just released this a couple months ago, and it's perfect for visually managing any project from start to finish. The Gantt chart helps manage projects by providing a visual representation of each of our items in the form of item bars. The entire view works like a grid where the items are listed vertically and the dates are presented in a calendar horizontally. Let's head over to the Gantt chart. So in the Gantt chart, we have the option to choose how we want to see data grouped from our board and also colored. The great thing is that we're now able to group by and color by the items from our connect boards column that we just discussed. So as you can see here, I'm just gonna hide this for a second. This is our Gantt chart. And if you head over to this little gear under the settings, you can see we have the option to group by and color by. The new feature that we're just releasing is now we have the option to group items that were mirrored from my other board. So right here is the Golden Gate Bridge Connect Boards column, which is, again, the new feature that we have just released. You do have the option to group, by sub-item, by the people column, by status. But for today, I want to look at our Connect Board column. Similarly, we can now color by the Golden Gate Bridge. And then you also have the option to change this to project manager. If you want to color it by the project status, let's just go over here so you can see the different colors. Again, for this example, I want to color it by the Golden Gate Bridge connected column. We've also released a new feature on the Gantt chart, which is the ability to label items by almost anything. So the new capabilities allow us to build Gantt views customized to your different needs and workflows. So from now on, the decision of which column data will be presented in the item bar caption will be up to you. So because I want to see the timeline and where we're at with our tasks, I'm going to label my items by timeline, which is right here. Again, if you want to change this for any reason by project status, you can now see the status of the project, or even the senior engineer. It just depends on what your workflow is. But the great thing now is we can essentially label by just about any column on your board. All right, let's head back to the main table. That was our Gantt chart.
Ashley, sorry to interrupt.
Oh, sure.
We're just getting some feedback in the chat about the microphone. So a bit of wind noise. So if we can maybe fix that, that'd be great.
Okay.
Sorry again.
Give me just a second here. Okay, is that a little bit better?
Yeah, sounds good.
Can everyone hear me okay? Okay, sorry about that. I had a fan going. Didn't realize it was that loud. Apologize for that. So let's now talk about our timeline column. We also use a timeline column to get a visual representation of how long we have to complete each project on our bridge design. The timeline column allows us to lay out all important project start and end dates and keep everyone aligned. So because we have so many projects going on at the same time, I want to create an automation that will help cut down on the manual work of changing statuses on our board. So the day our project starts, I want the status to change to working on it, since we're now going to be actively working on those specific tasks and project. So with the new feature that we just released, the timeline start date is now supported in due date automations. For any timeline column on the board, it's now possible to choose which part of the timeline you wish to set the automation on. This feature was requested since we first released the due date automations, and it's finally here. So let's build out this custom automation recipe together. So I'm going to head over to our automation center, create a custom automation, and I'm going to create when a date arrives. So now we'll have the option to select a column that's in my board, the due date column, the timeline start date, the timeline end date. Before, we only were able to choose the timeline end date. So now, which is really exciting, we get to choose the timeline start date. So I'm going to say the timeline start date. So when the timeline start date arrives, change the priority to working on it. So change status to working on it. I get in around 8 a.m. So I'm going to say when the date arrives at 8 a.m. And then we can go ahead and add it to our board. So now this says when the timeline start date arrives, set project status to working on it. Awesome. So unfortunately, some of our tasks and projects might be delayed or pushed back for various reasons. Sometimes the contractor will change the design plans, the calculations can be off, materials are delayed, etc. Now, our automations allow the pushing of dates assigned to items by business days rather than just days. You can now choose to push days forward or backward by business days, skipping weekends, aligning to the work week definition of your account, meaning either Sunday through Thursday or Monday through Friday. So if you're an admin on your account, you have the option to change the first day of the week and all date related places on your account, which typically is the due date or timeline column. So the first day of the week can either be set to start on Sunday or Monday. Now this will show business days. So let's go ahead and create another custom automation together. So we're going to do when a status changes to, when my project status changes to I need more information, we're going to go ahead and push the date by some days because we need some more time and more information on our project. So I'm just going to push this to 4 days. And then if I go ahead and select this downward facing caret, you'll see months, week, days, and now you're able to select business days. So I'm going to go ahead and create that automation now. Awesome. So once a project manager has reviewed and approved the designs for the bridge or subtask, we need to let the senior engineer know that they need to double check all their work. It's super important that all the calculations are correct, so having a second set of eyes to review is required. So for this, I'm going to use an automation recipe that now supports sub-items. This is great news for those who usually work with sub-items and where the status of a sub-item is this thing which should cause another status to change or be changed. This means that the status column attached to the sub-items can act as a trigger or action in this recipe. So again, the status column causing the automation to run or the status column which changes as a result. So I'm going to go ahead and create another. This isn't a custom automation. I'm just going to add a pre-existing one, which is our status change. And I am looking for when a status changes to something, change another status to something. So when a status, so when my sub-item status changes to review complete, meaning the project manager has reviewed all of their calculations and is ready to submit to the senior engineer. So when status changes to review complete, change another status to something. So then I'm going to change my parent item, so the item on the board, which is my project status, to where is it? To senior engineer to review. All right, cool. So let's add this to our board and kind of see how this works. So let's just say for the type study project, my project manager has decided that they're going to repair the bridge and the review is complete. Actually, let's change this real quick. So I'm going to change the status to review complete on the sub item. And now you can see on the parent item, the status changed to senior engineer to review. This is really exciting news that the sub items can now work in this specific automation recipe. So once my project manager finishes all the calculations, as I mentioned, and quality assurance, he'll then change the status to review complete so that I can look over his work. But for this, I'm going to add a new block in our custom recipes. So you can now use a new block that's called create update in our custom recipes. So let's head over and build this out together. So again, I'm going to go to our automation center. I'm going to add a new automation, create custom automation. And I'm going to say when a status changes, when my sub item status changes to review complete, the new feature that we just released is, where is it? Create an update. So I'm going to go ahead and create an update. And then you have the option to type in what you want the update to say. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, senior engineer, I just reviewed all my calculations. Please let me know if you have any questions or I need to change anything. All right, great. So we're going to go ahead, create the automation. And then I'm going to go ahead and show you if I change the status in my sub item to review complete. We should get an update, which is not showing up. Okay, let me just double check on the sub item. Okay, that looks good. Sometimes it's a little delayed, but it should show up here nonetheless. All right. So additionally, although each bridge is different, the workflow and tasks for each bridge are similar, and we use a template board with the same tasks for every project. We now have a new custom automation, which will help to align certain project task lists if additional tasks are added. So for this, I'm going to use another custom automation recipe that allows you to create items on another board using data from the board on which the item is created. So I'm going to go ahead and add another custom automation that says, when an item is created in this board, I also want to create the same item in another board. So create item in another board is a new feature that we just released. So I'm going to create this, and I want this to go into my Golden Gate Bridge board. All right, and then we'll map out some of these and hit done and create the automation. All right, so if I go to create a new item in my board, let's just say it's a bridge inspection. Creating a new item here. There should be a new item that gets created in my new board here. Awesome. So since I'm currently managing several different bridge designs and projects right now, there's a ton of moving parts and tasks that are changing every day. I want a way I can see visually the status of where we're at with all of our tasks. So for this, I'm going to use our Kanban view. For those of you who are less familiar with the Kanban view, let's briefly mention why you might want to work with it. Kanban is a project management technique which helps visualize tasks according to their status using columns. Items are represented as cards and move from column to column until completion. Let's head over to this board again, and I will show you the Kanban view. All right, so it helps teams see pain points and make sure that they are best utilizing their resources. we've made a lot of improvements to our Kanban view, so let's just take a look at those improvements. For those of you who don't use the Kanban view at all, now might be the time to try it. So firstly, until now, we used a fixed height for the Kanban item cards, even if we had short or long content. So now the item card height changes according to its content. So here, there used to just be a lot of white empty space. We've kind of condensed it now. So with this new release, the Kanban view is more compact, as I mentioned, and doesn't waste as much empty space on the board. So this capability will enable us to add more content inside each card, for example, files, date, column indications, statuses, numbers, and we're planning on adding more in the future. So talking of adding more information into each card, you actually can add multiple people columns into the Kanban card. So this is going to help me so much in seeing which project manager is assigned to the task, as well as the senior managers who's managing the project. So if I see a certain task is stuck or needs help, I can quickly see who I should reach out to in this view. So to do that, I'm going to head over to the settings, and you now have the option to choose multiple people columns. So right now I just have the senior engineer, and I also want to see who the project manager is. Additionally, along with being able to add multiple people in this view, we also have the option to add the date column as well as the files column to the view, which gives the item card a lot more context. So this means if you prefer to work in the Kanban view as your default view, you have a lot more information right in front of you. So again, if I want to add the files view, I can go ahead and click this. I can also click on the due date. And then of course you can still click on the actual item if you need to change anything within it right here. All right, so I hope you guys will all enjoy our new and improved Kanban view. This is super exciting. I'm going to head back to our main table. So in our type study project, for example, we decide if we want to completely replace a bridge or repair the existing bridge. So for the Golden Gate Bridge project, we decided to repair the existing bridge. So because of this, I can now move my sub item into the next phase of our project, which is the preliminary design. So this is an exciting new feature as we are now able to move sub items between items. You can accomplish this by using the sub item menu or using batch actions as well. So I am going to move this item. We, as I mentioned, are just going to repair the bridge. So if you go to the downward facing caret, you can move the item, and I want this to go into our preliminary design. So I'm going to move this now. And there it is. Super, super exciting new feature. All right, so every week I have a meeting with my manager to discuss all of our projects at a high level. We need to discuss all of our tasks that are due this upcoming week to make sure that we're on track. So I want a way to visually to be able to see all the tasks that are due this week. So for this, I'm going to use conditional coloring. Conditional coloring applies coloring to the cells that meet your defined criteria. With our color formatting, you can visually emphasize or differentiate among the data on your board. Just like with groups and status labels, you can choose the color for your conditional coloring. And there are a lot of colors to choose from, so get excited. One of the top asks related to conditional coloring was to add stronger colors, which is something that is now released for you to try. This will help if you're trying to distinguish or call attention to urgent items or due dates. Choosing your conditions is simple. You're going to choose a column, you're then going to choose the condition and then enter the value. So the value can be a text or a number, you'll press enter and your formatting will apply. Just one thing to note, the only supported columns at this time for conditional coloring is the item name, date, person, number, text, long text, and timeline column. So let me quickly show you how to do that. If you look at this little paint icon, this is our conditional coloring. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. So again, I want to see our due date column because I want to know all of the tasks that are due this week. Again, you can pick your condition. So we have a bunch of different conditions. So for this case, I want to use when the due date is this week. So this week, And then I can also change the color to any of these colors right here. For now, let's just do pink. If you want to add another layer to your coloring or conditions, you can certainly do that here. And then if you decide you don't want to use that anymore, you can also X out. All right, awesome. So now you can see here all my due dates that are due this week. So I can easily see the pink in this conditional coloring. All right, cool. So as I mentioned earlier, we have a ton of different clients, contractors, subcontractors, and engineers who write into our support team if they need help with a project. So for this, we're going to use Zendesk to manage our customer support. For those looking to manage their customer support team in monday.com boards, you can now import your old data from Zendesk and keep it up to date. Until now, you could only sync new tickets from Zendesk using our Zendesk integration. But now we can import old data by tags from Zendesk to the board to create a complete view of the data. So let me show you real quick how to do that. Head to your avatar and head to your avatar. Sorry about that. Import data. We're going to do Zendesk. Connect. Just give it a minute. It's thinking. All right. So now you can import tickets with the following tags from Zendesk. For this example, I'll just the tag 1 through 50. I'll select that, hit done. And now it'll create a new board on your account with all of the Zendesk tickets that had a tag 1 through 50. All right, cool. So let's head back. And we are going to now talk about our dashboards. So now that we've kind of finished on the board level, I want to see a high level overview of all the bridges that I'm currently working on and designing. So for this, I'm going to use dashboards. Dashboards are great to help stay updated on what is happening on multiple boards across my account. I can create summaries, reports, and get a high level view of everything that's important to me. So right now, I'm managing 3 big bridge projects, as you saw on my overview board, which is the Golden Gate Bridge, the Brooklyn Bridge, and the Hoover Dam Bridge. And as I mentioned, I have boards right here for all of these projects. I want to see all 3 of these boards at the same time. So for this, I'm going to use the table widget. The table widget lets you pull together entire items and groups from multiple boards into one widget on your dashboard. You can use it to group items with similar topics to give you the full picture on a project and pair high level or low level boards together in one view, or just to see a big picture of your team. So a new feature on the table widget gives you the option to choose which columns to show and which columns to hide as part of your table widget settings. So as you can see here, I have a table widget. I'm going to go ahead and edit it and head over to the settings. So as you can see here, I have 3 boards that are linked into this dashboard, which again is the Golden Gate Bridge, Brooklyn Bridge, and then also the Hoover Dam Bridge. So now the new feature that we just released, you have the option to hide certain columns on the specific table widget. So if for whatever reason I didn't want to see the due date column, I could hide it. So as you can see, it went away. And just something to note, you have to hide or uncheck all the different columns per board. So make sure that you're going through and unselecting per board. Perfect. All right. So speaking of new features in the dashboard, we can now add another dashboard widget that supports sub items, which is so exciting. Up until now, the only widgets that were supported by sub items were the Gantt, timeline, workload, and calendar widgets. So we have now added the numbers widget to that list. So the numbers widget can now show numerical data in the numbers column of your sub items. So because I'm just going to click out of this, because we are a consulting firm, we need to be able to bill or charge our customers for our time and work. So for this, I've added an estimated hours and actual number of hours worked column in each of the sub items or tasks on my board. I'll just show you that real quick. This is our Golden Gate. And then as you can see here, this is just my board level. I have estimated hours and actual hours. I have this also set up in my Brooklyn Bridge and Hoover Dam Bridge board as well. Okay, so right here, I have actually already set up a numbers widget, which I labeled the estimated hours worked, which looks like estimated is 129 hours. So let's go ahead and create another numbers widget. So I'm going to go ahead and add the numbers widget. All right, so I have 3 boards in my dashboard, as I mentioned. We've already created the estimated hours. So I want to go ahead and create our actual hours. So I'm going to go ahead and select the actual hours here for my Golden Gate Bridge project, for my Brooklyn Bridge, and for my actual hours. All right, so here is the sum of the hours that we worked. And I'm going to change this to actual hours. And then if you go into the settings, you have the option to change the units or the function. For this use case, I want the sum, and I want to make up my own unit. So I have 156 hours. That's obviously not how we want it to look. So I'm just going to change this to R and change it to the right. So now it looks like we have 156 hours worked. So now I'll hit done. And as you can see, I have 129 estimated hours, and now we have worked actually 156 hours. So we're actually a little bit over what we should be working. All right, so now we are going to talk about my personal favorite, some of the new CRM features that we have released. So I'm going to head over to this board, which is called the Golden Gate Bridge Contacts CRM. So as part of our consulting business, we use monday.com for our CRM needs. What is a CRM, you may ask? A CRM is a central place to organize all the details of your customers and make it easy for your whole team to track the status of every customer relationship. It helps you keep a record of information that you can reference at any time. So when designing a new bridge, as I mentioned previously, there are a ton of people involved. We have clients, we have contractors, engineers, bridge inspectors, etc. So I need a way to see all of their contact information in one place. So for this, I have created a CRM board for all of my contacts, which again, I've called Golden Gate Bridge Contacts. Now I have an existing board with the contact information, and I have worked with them before, but to be sure I have the most updated information, they sent me all of their contact information in a new Excel document. I want a way to be able to import all of their contact information to my board quickly and easily, so I don't have to do a lot of manual inputting. So we improved the current import Excel data to an existing board process and created a makeover for the whole experience. So one of the main important changes is the fact that you can import and update duplicates which already exist in the board. So this is going to be so helpful for me to identify if I already have a contact on my board and to update their information to the most updated info. So again, before we were only able to import data here, you would import Excel, and then all of the contact information would, similar to what I just showed you in Zendesk, it would create a new board with all those contacts. Now we have the option to import your contacts straight from this board, which is incredible. So let's show how to do that. So I'm going to go ahead, import items. And I am going to click the Excel document I want to upload. Hit next. And then we're going to map our data. So we're going to choose which column from Excel we want to appear as the item name, which is like the first column that you see on your board. So I'm just going to do the name since we're dealing with contacts. I'm going to hit next. And then again, we're going to map out our columns. So right here are all the columns that are in my Excel document. And then here are where the columns are going to be in your board. So company, I'm just going to use that as a text column. For the phone number, I obviously want to use a phone column. For the email, I'm going to use an email column. Come on. And then I actually don't need this in my board. So I'm just going to leave it blank. And if you leave anything blank, then it just won't show up. All right. So then what's really exciting is we get to choose how to handle our duplicates. So you have 3 different options. You can choose to create new items, to add the data as new items to the board. If you choose to skip the item option, it'll skip any duplicated data based on the column types that you've chosen. So just be sure that you choose a column with unique values in your data, such as like an email or a phone number, to help us determine whether the item already exists in your monday.com board or not. The rest of the data will be added to a new group on your monday.com board. And then lastly, if you choose to overwrite existing items, you'll have the option to overwrite these based on data in a specific column. Again, as I mentioned before, just be sure that you're choosing a column with unique values in your data, just like an email or phone number, so that'll help us determine whether the item already exists in your monday.com board. And again, this data will be added to a new group in your monday.com board. But for this example, we're going to choose create new items right here, and I'm going to start to import. Awesome. So now you can see all of these new contacts that I just imported here. Cool. All right. So when our projects are in full swing, we have so many emails that are being sent back and forth between our contractors, clients, and engineers. We all need to make sure we're on the same page with calculations, materials, due dates, etc. And it honestly gets really hard to keep track of all of our emails and which emails associate with which project and which bridge design. So this is probably one of my favorite new features. It's a new app that we created called Communa Hub. So with the Communa Hub app, you can now send and receive emails from within your boards. Keeping your communication centralized means that I will spend less time tracking down the details for every interaction. So as I mentioned, the Communa Hub app, you can send and receive emails, you can create your own email templates, you can capture meeting notes, events, and so much more. I'm going to show you real quick how to do that. So let's just say I want to email Lorenzo, who's one of our clients. I'm going to start the conversation by hitting this little bubble. I actually have already added this to our board, but if you wanted to add it to your view, you just go ahead and add view, add the widget, and it'll populate. I'm going to use this one. Come on. Since I already have some examples. One thing to note also is that Gmail and Outlook are the only 2 email domains that will currently work with the Communa Hub app. If you need any information on how to set this up, we do have a knowledge base article. Just look up Communa Hub and it'll show you how step-by-step how to set this up with your Gmail and Outlook. So sending emails with this app is so easy. To get started, we'll select the new email from the top of the menu. And then if you have an email in the email column, it'll automatically populate here. So again, we're messaging Lorenzo, but if for whatever reason you don't have an email column there, that's totally fine too. You could just manually type it in or just X out. Then I can just say subject, review, bridge calcs, and then you can type in essentially what you want to say and say, hey, Lorenzo, I finished the bridge calcs. Please take a look when you get a chance. The file is attached. Thanks. You can go ahead and attach a file and then hit send. Now, what's really cool is all of the different emails that you've previously sent will be located down here. So I actually already sent Lorenzo an email earlier. So I just want to show you kind of how that will look. So reply, like when you want to receive an email, replies will be received in the Communa Hub app. You won't be notified in monday.com about the replies, but any email that you receive in the app will also be received in your email inbox, your Gmail or Outlook inbox. So if I go here and select here, here is the email I originally sent Lorenzo. And you can see the attachment here as well. And then he replied and said, everything looks great. Thanks for your help. So here again is the reply and what it would look like in your app. Super, super, super cool new feature. All right, so let's go ahead and create another new email. So let's just say, you're writing the same email over and over to the same people. You have the option to create a template by heading over to this little wand. So you can create a new template here and just say, hey, this is a template. This is a test, okay? Then you can go ahead and, oops, sorry, let me just move this over real quick. Save this as a template. And then when you're going to send emails, then you would just hit this wand again and use the template that you want. Another cool feature is you are able to create new events. So when you create your first event, a board will automatically be created in the main workspace of your account. And this board will be called the activities board, excuse me. And I'll show you that in a second, and will be visible to all members of your account by default. So using this board, each person can filter and track their upcoming events, create reminders, and generate reporting. So let's just go ahead and create an event, which is a meeting for tomorrow at 10:45. And we'll just do bridge recap calculations. So when I go ahead and add this, it's going to add a new item to my activities board right here. And this is all the information that will come with it. All right, let's head back over to the board and go back down to Lorenzo. The last thing I wanted to show you on the app is also the ability to add a meeting note. So if I go ahead, I can add a new note and just say anything that we discussed in the meeting. Need to rework the calculations for the Golden Gate Bridge project, and then just add here. And then you can see all of your previous and upcoming events. So again, it's a super, super, super cool app. Just being in the CX department, I would say being able to send and receive emails through the update section of a board has been one of the most highly requested features. So I highly recommend taking a look at this. All right, so we are on a roll here. So since I'm showing you some of the latest and greatest releases to make your CRM in monday.com even more powerful, I thought I'd recap some of the features we released in the last couple months, which will boost your CRM workflows. So now if you take a look at my CRM board, there's a ton of information in columns here. So wouldn't it be nice or a good way to be able to see my information from a different type of view where it's all in one place? So for this, I'm going to add another view, which is called the item card. So I'm going to go ahead, add the widget. All right, cool. So the item card works by gathering the data from your columns and displays it in a simple yet beautiful card view. This will allow you to have all the information you need in one place without scrolling. And by clicking on the pencil icon, you can customize which columns you'd like to be displayed in your card. So if you don't want the company to be shown, you can choose to unselect that. But as you can see, these are all the different columns that are on my board currently, just in a different view. All right, finally, let's talk about making quotes from our boards. We need to be able to bill our clients for the hours worked, as we discussed earlier in our dashboards, for the work that we're designing and their bridges. So for this, I'm going to use our new Billet app. So again, I'm going to go ahead and add a new view. And I'm going to add the Billet widget. Amazing. So here you have the option to create an invoice number to whatever makes sense for you in your workflow. The quote description is going to be consulting services because, as I mentioned, we're billing our customer for this. You have the option to bill from with your company name. So let's just say Steel & Co., our address, 123 Bridge Way. Company country, USA, Ashley@monday.com is the contact email. You can also put in your phone number. And then here is really cool. You can actually use the columns from your board to bill your customer information. So the company is the Bridge Co. The customer name is obviously Lorenzo Harvey, who we've been talking to. We have a address column here. So 567 Bridgeway, email, and phone. If I head over here, you can also create different items for what you're billing your customer or whoever. You can also add more items if you'd like. For this case, I am only using one item. Let's just say we worked, 156 hours, and we charge $5,000 an hour. Cool. So now you have the option to preview it. So this is what it will look like when your customer receives it. You can download it, and then you can also send it to your customer. So if you wanted to send it, it'll send a link or give you a link, I'm sorry. You copy it. And then if I go here with the link, this is what the quote will look like. Super, super cool new feature. All right. So I hope that you guys are excited by all of these new CRM functionalities. I know I am. I want to also mention that we're working on even more things to make using monday.com as a CRM totally seamless. So watch out for those resources and webinars for this use case coming soon. Okay. So although we design a bunch of different bridges and they're all totally different, the process of designing a bridge is always the same. So I duplicate my boards a lot since I use the same process and structure every time. What's great about this is when duplicating a board, now all the apps that I just showed you, the Communa Hub, the Billet, and the item card, will also duplicate with the board. The only caveat, I guess, with that is any app that doesn't require authentication will duplicate. So if it requires authentication, then it will not duplicate, unfortunately. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create duplicate my board. Oops, hold on one second here. We'll keep the structure items and updates, duplicate. Come on. Okay, well, we'll wait for it to duplicate, but what I wanted to show you is once it does duplicate the apps that I just created on the board, again, the Communa Hub, the item card, and oh, here we go, will also be there. So here you go. Communa Hub, item card, and Billet are also available when you duplicate. All right. So finally, before I finish, I want to mention the fact that we now have an amazing plugin for Adobe. And we've made some amazing new improvements to our integration with Jira Server. If you use either of these apps and want to discover how they connect to monday.com and ease your workflow, I suggest checking out the resources in our knowledge base to learn more. So thank you all for spending the last 50 minutes or so with me. I hope you've learned a lot about some of our new features and you can implement them into your own workflow. I'm just going to take a couple minutes here, grab some water, and we'll be able to take some questions live. So I will be right back.